Okay.
I call it to order. We got two people on the phone here.
All right.
Hi Judy, hi Dave.
Hi, guys.
So we have Doug. No, wait, we don't have Doug. I'm looking at last minute. We have Dennis, Lee, Donna, Richard, Patty Steele. And we have you two present. So, Lee is
Are
gonna,
we going, oh, but Karen, just one question. Are we going to vote on something today?
I don't know, I don't think so. Well, you got the agenda, correct?
Yes, we have it right here.
All right, so I just printed out how I thought that revision to the policy or the amendments should be worded. And then I'll submit that to Jared and the town clerk and let them take over with making those official at a town board meeting.
Sounds good to us.
Okay.
We agree with it and well put and
Okay.
it's a go for as far as we're concerned.
Okay. I jumped ahead.
Oh, yes.
I got a couple of questions.
All right, well, let's go back to review of minutes. Donna, you have a question?
The February 6th, meeting
Yeah,
where you say review the minutes and notes, I think it should be November 14th, 2023, and not 2024.
oh, well, I'm changing our mind. Oh,
It's the one that says February 6th up at the top.
oh,
Those were
yeah,
your
yeah,
meeting minutes.
yep,
And
oh,
pretty right down here. Oh,
what are we looking at? We're looking at the old agenda.
well, this is one that you sent out with your email just a couple days ago.
Oh, then I
Did
sent
I
the
print
wrong
it?
one. Sorry, that's the wrong. agenda.
So anyways, yeah. So anyways, it has November 14th, 2024 on it.
Yeah, sorry, okay, so we did approve the minutes from November 14th, 2023. And now we're going to review the minutes of February 6th, 2024. They were very brief notes, one page. I just want to make sure Peter Ellison's in progress, Lee. Yeah,
So that's what I wanted to do. Peter Ellison, the simplest thing is for Richard, Dennis, and Peter to get together and make their determination for the 2024. If you haven't already reached a determination for 2024.
Well, we haven't met with Peter since we went through there initially. And so we don't know exactly how much he has accomplished yet. You know, there are a couple of things that I noticed at the academy that he's done. He straightened up one obelisk.
So my suggestion would be this,
Get together with him.
and it's just a suggestion because you guys can manage this way better than me, would be to just go back with him, do a physical.
Yeah.
And while you're doing that, look for what you want corrected for this season.
Mhm.
Then he can submit, Karen, probably you would probably be best. Now that we're a committee, I guess, best to do that and then run it by the committee and then run it to, give Jess a copy, Jess Mo. And then that pretty much is it, because there is no, I mean, that's how we've done it in the past. We don't have to go through this long, drawn out, let's go find the other two vendors and let them,
No, we're not
so-
gonna do-
that should be. When, in the past, when I did it, I did it with Peter and I told him kind of, we looked at it and discussed it. I just told him what I wanted done. He made his suggestions.
So
I
that's,
gave the
that's
case
where
that
we're
we're
at
from.
right now. And.
And then after you and I talked, I was like, why didn't you just tell her that?
Yeah, can you get with him before the next meeting? Okay.
I mean, I think that's just, you guys want to do that, or you want me to send out a note that's for the three of you and,
Yeah, why don't you do that?
all right, I'll do that off my
Get an
official,
Official notice.
yeah, I'll do it off my historian email.
And yesterday when I was at Hun, because I wanted to check out the wreaths for Wreaths Across America,
Mhm.
I took a picture of this here, Dennis, you can have this since you're on the. I was kind of disturbed at seeing that. It's just like, it's just a pile
Oh,
of stone.
oh,
That's which one?
Hun,
Oh, yeah, no, I know where that is.
yeah, it's in.
So
road-
that,
it's
that
in
is
road
actually
D.
a pile I made.
Oh, okay, it's in.
So the reason that's a pile, Donna, is there's half of this stone
Uh-huh,
that's been riding around with me forever,
oh,
okay? That stone broke in half. Okay. Then the face fell off it. I did some repair to the face, okay? It is one of our older stones. It is,
Wow.
a large project. The reason it's with me is I didn't want at that time to do anything with this stone until we had gotten work done at some of the other cemeteries. That was over a year, a little over a year ago. Okay, so that's something we can back up and revisit now.
Mm.
That's gonna be a big job for Peter because he's got to pin it. And it's the blue stone,
oh,
blue slate. And the bottom of that stone actually has the price on it. Remember me telling you the story about,
He's not gonna be able to pin, if that sleeve's not gonna be able to pin it, he's gonna have to put it on the sleeve, it's like a sleeve. To hold it
he
in,
told me he could do pins, but
that's,
I know. Maybe he
Not
just,
that
maybe he
big.
just meant the marble ones. And those footstones were actually there because I brought them up just to elevate that bottom half.
oh,
That was why,
okay.
all right?
Okay, and there was another stone there. It looked like the stone, and I didn't take a picture of it, another stone that looked like it was fine. But then there was a stone behind it that was like laying down, but leaning up against. So you have a stone like this,
Yeah,
and then there was
yeah.
another one like
So
this. And yet it looked like the top of this was fine, so it's not as if what's
Right.
here.
hard to say whether
Fell
that was
off.
me or the mowers, but you'll often see where somebody's done that
Okay,
to keep it from getting run over,
okay,
just leaned it.
okay.
So, yes.
So I have no idea where it goes, but.
Um,
Okay,
what was your first question? What were we doing? So we get so
so
sick.
you're going to.
Yes, I will send out a
connect with
notice.
Allison, And we'll figure out what
Yeah,
your plans
and
to work on this year.
and when
my
you
advice
finish
to the
from last
committee
year-
is, but the three people that are going out to actually triage it, I would totally trust their judgment. But
Oh, yeah.
if we have a broken stone that has no face, it's lost all its markings and identifications, I would say we should kind of like move that to the bottom of the list of repairs.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Not that we're not going to repair it, maybe it gets repaired after he's done, you know, all the other stuff that you guys have decided is down the bottom of this, but that's just me. I just feel like it's just as expensive to fix an unmarked stone.
at what point? When a stone requires so much repair or is unrepairable. Does a town come in and
Replace
replace it?
or,
Oh,
okay,
Because that's something, because otherwise,
good question.
to have a stone there that is totally devoid now of any name or dates or anything like that. There's absolutely no value for anybody
I can answer that.
looking to
I can answer that.
do genealogy or whatever.
When do we replace a stone that has no identifiable markings and may exceed the price of repair may exceed any real value, historic value? That's a policy for the set committee to set.
Yeah,
That's a tough.
And
one.
that is why this committee exists,
That's
is for
gonna
you
be
guys.
expensive.
Yeah, and that's where you guys have gotta like guide the town. That's the whole purpose, is that you guys, I know you're getting all this, Judy?
Yes, yeah, I'm taking notes.
You guys are, that's the whole reason for your existence. I think it's one of the big, it's like, if I was to list the top duties of this committee, that would be one of probably the top 3 to 5 duties. And I think you guys collectively have way more wisdom than I would have had, which is why I said, I'm not doing this by myself.
because it was just a stone like a hun, with the one that was destroyed by the car that crashed into it.
Yeah.
The stone that replaced it is just a simple stone, doesn't have to be fancy. In other words, if an obelisk goes down, just
Yeah.
put up a simple stone just to commemorate or not commemorate, but
Acknowledge.
to acknowledge
Yeah.
the person that's buried there.
If you remember, I had looked into having synthetic stones made. That never went, you know, to its ultimate end of having a mold made and all of that kind of thing, obviously.
Mm.
That was one thing we looked at, Karen. I don't know, I think maybe I talked about it a long time ago. So there's a company out in, it's Kentucky. And you know, like, how they mold things out of resin, all kinds of garden statuary and stuff like that. This guy has that business and one of those businesses, and he also makes like, replacement architectural pieces. When a historic building loses something significant.
Gargoyles.
Yeah, but like, so they'll take a cast and make a replacement.
The only thing is, there's a difference here because stone, you have to worry about the effects of nature on it, you know, the rain and the acid rain, all this sort of stuff. But synthetic stuff is gonna be subject to UV radiation, and that's gonna degrade the, whatever is molded there. And like in plastics, that will actually cause plastics to crack, the UV. So you know, whatever you have is, if it's gonna be a synthetic, it's gonna have to be certified to be able to withstand UV radiation.
And he was able to give me some guidance on that, Richard, and the stuff he does is very durable. It wasn't a solid. So the idea was he would have like a thick walled but hollow stone cast. We would use one of ours as a template that we just thought was kind of classic or something. We would have that made, and then you could fill, and I think you and I talked about that. You could fill the interior of the mock stone with like sand,
What about?
giving it weight
Yeah,
and
we
density.
have a couple of zinc ones at Academy,
Yeah,
and those appear to be extremely durable.
Mhm.
And that, you could have something like that.
Yep,
made
that would be another,
As.
if somebody does
as
it
a-
still.
As a standard one, and then you just, and that would be a mold that be set aside,
Mhm.
and then you just have the person's information put on the plate that would be
Oh, I
bolted
see,
to it. And that would be, in the long run, I would think that'd be a lot cheaper and more durable than trying to go with this actual like granite or something like that.
But then I haul back on that and say, again, the wisdom of a group of, you know, smart-minded history people is way better than one.
Yeah.
The granite stones, before you move on, just the whole reason for that was because they are dang expensive. The veterans is a little easier because you can go to the VA. I don't think they're the most handsome, they're not bad.
They serve a purpose.
Yeah, they serve a purpose and I guess you could maybe describe it as stately. They're very simple and clean. And
is that like what the SAR did at Hunt?
yeah, whenever the
Okay.
SAR and DAR do it, that's what they're doing.
That's-
They're getting a VA to
Mm,
contribute the stone.
Okay.
So we could do that at Academy too, by the way. I mean, that's something, we got a lot of veterans at Academy and not Revolutionary War.
We can do it for the veterans, we can do it for the others.
So at the various cemeteries that contain veterans, we have the option of doing something that we set out to create, of doing a VA stone. For non-veterans, you'd have fewer options. And you have to determine how much you want to spend, and you've got to find the price point for those created stones, whether it's granite, zinc, resin, whatever. There, you can still get slate. It's not easy. Much easier.
You know, it's like.
Right, no, and I agree, because there's slate that holds up great, and then there's slate that doesn't. You've all heard me go on and forever about that, so.
So this should be definitely a huge discussion.
Yep.
Are there a lot of
And-
stones that are missing like that, or,
You know, that's
or
another,
just things?
that's what we're gonna be, have to talk about.
Okay.
How
yeah.
many? And on the list from Peter, I've got a photocopy of the list of what the three of you came up with last year. You probably don't know yet how much Peter accomplished of that, because it was later in the season, if I recall correctly.
It always is.
That got together and came up with that list.
His season
Yeah,
for
actually-
restoration repair is always late summer, early fall.
Mm.
So it would be good to get this in place.
Yeah, he usually will early spring.
Yeah.
Spring, he'll
This is
do a
kind of
walkthrough.
different Season too with the weather we're having.
Yeah,
Yeah.
completely changes everything.
All right, well, I'll leave that up to you guys to
Right. You
set a
had,
date.
you had mentioned about the changes
In the policy, yeah.
policy.
But we have in
And-
February.
I have a question as far as you have three different levels of charges for adult casket, cremation, and infant. What is the definition of an adult casket?
This is just exactly what the town clerk's list says.
Because you go from adult to infant. Is anything beyond an infant considered an adult casket? I mean, you may have a 5-year-old, that's a child. So I went out and I looked at Woodlawn. And they have just casket cremation in infant. So that when they're giving a break for the infant, but anything that requires a casket, it's gonna, no matter what the age, it's gonna be one price.
Well,
You have to-
the other side of that is there aren't that many open sites left.
I know, but looking forward,
Mhm.
because you're gonna have, whatever you're doing now is gonna set the precedent for,
Oh,
going
for like,
forward. And
Say
you
Pine
you
Bank.
really
Pine
wanna
Bank.
address this again, and it may be at a time when, okay, well, that's my baby. Well, this woman may consider her baby, this 21-year-old kid is
Yeah,
still her
yeah.
baby. So,
Yeah.
you're gonna have
So it needs to say 14 and under or.
well, I'm thinking, if you, the same amount of work goes into digging a hole for a casket for an adult as it does for an infant. I mean, not to put them in the same thing, but I'm thinking you gotta define what it is. I would think just having 2 casket and cremation, but because you still have to get the manpower out there, you gotta get the machinery out there, you have a time to dig the hole.
Mhm.
And, I mean, yeah, the one hole's a little bigger than the other, but still gotta get down there. And it's still, you may be a half-hour difference between pulling out that extra 2 feet of it,
Right.
but
I didn't go dig any deeper than what's per fee schedule was, or how to define an infant.
because you're in a position, the committee's in a position to recommend to the town clerk, but,
Is that a now thing though for Academy, or is that a later on, like the policy we need to develop for Pine Bank?
well,
If-
we're not, well, right now, we still have openings. This is for the actual, internments.
Right, unopened graves in
Yeah,
Academy.
if you have to disinter or you have to inter, you still have to dig.
Yep.
So this is just for that, to do the manual work of doing that. This isn't the charge for the actual plot.
Right,
Because none of those we have no more plots to charge
Right.
for.
Mhm.
But this is in order to dig the hole. And so I just think that, we still have to worry about this for Academy, because that's the only place left that has
Right.
spaces that haven't been filled.
okay. And how many places do we have that aren't filled?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. This is what we. what has to be
But
figured out.
I know of one woman buried there whose husband is still alive. And it's Kevin Armstrong.
Right, and he expects to be next door.
Probably. And
Wow.
then there's also Richard, I think his first name is Richard Highland, who is a fairly new one. Granted, his family's down in Florida, but it's only him there now. He does have a wife.
Right,
So you don't know whether she's gonna be buried there or whether she'd be buried someplace else.
And whether they-
But how many plots there are sold that where there's nobody
Right,
buried there yet?
We have to get
Does
together with the.
Does the
clerk.
town know that?
No.
Yeah.
no, I can tell you the answer to that, no, they don't. Because
Cause it was a private
I don't,
cemetery. so-
right, I don't know if, like, there are no records from Karen and I've already talked to Crystal about this, and I talked to Gene about it here, a couple years ago.
Wow.
There's
She has a
no
pile of
like
stuff.
binder from
Well,
Academy.
she's got some stuff, but,
It doesn't show how.
and she said, oh, you can go through it anytime you want. I obviously haven't done that.
What about the Academy binder that I had borrowed from you?
That's,
From the
that is
association,
all
is
about
there?
the history, not any of the,
Oh, okay.
Did you happen to see the news on Channel 10? The, a week or two ago. A woman has the deed to two plots to be buried near her parents. And 5 years ago, some other woman was buried in it. And it's Jewish cemetery. So digging people up is an issue because they aren't involved and they're all in pine boxes or something. And
it becomes like it was for us 200 years ago.
yeah, so. It's a big legal issue up there right now, and she's gonna take it to the state.
See, this is. this
It's
is
kind of like
thing-
the situation with the, who's the family?
Oh, the.
Yeah, Caprinis, yes, they.
It seems like much
Yes.
ado about nothing, but then when you think about it, I mean, if you're the person, yeah, I'd be kind of mad as hell too, if
Yeah.
the cemetery went and sold something that I owned. That I had, made arrangements for, and now I find myself going,
Oh, see, that's,
Well, and it
it's
was,
understandable people get ticked.
it was an abandoned cemetery turned over to the town. Because the organization went away, just like
Oh, just
I
like,
think, well.
and just like Academy.
Well-
and
Yeah,
Town
yeah.
cemeteries, yeah.
that's where the GPR is gonna be needed, so that things can be accurately plotted out.
Mhm.
And I've got information on this, I got, 3 different companies that do this.
Karen, are you friends with Oksana?
No,
So let me introduce another interesting thing to this conversation, which is part of it.
this is.
They sent, the town makes a contribution to Pine Bank every year, right? It got sent back this year undeliverable. Now, I'm not sure, I'm trying to figure out why.
Right?
Jess Mull just asked me, she said, because she's relatively new to town, right? So she's like, believe this came back, I don't know why, do you know
Well, I
why?
thought Crystal knew who the person was from last
Well,
year,
I reached out to Nancy Goodnow.
yeah.
I have not heard back from Nancy. So I reached out to Oksana and I have not heard back from Oksana. All I said was, could you let us know we're sitting on a check that should go to the Pine Bank.
Yeah,
And so I have not heard back. I don't know if they're out of town, or what's going on, but
Nancy is out of town a
Yeah.
lot.
so that tells me that there's not a lot of due diligence. It doesn't mean that that's a deliberate lack of due diligence. It could be overworked lack of due diligence. It could be the ranks are getting thin. I don't know.
Does it go
This
to,
is literally
a-
what I don't know.
did it go to a post office box?
I'd have to ask Jess which one it
she
went to.
told me where it went. Somebody on that road,
Oh, so it went to a person?
yes,
Oh, okay.
So,
yeah.
but I just bring it up as a curiosity, because here we are talking about, Pine
Yeah.
Bank and Academy and
It went
inheriting
to a Mullen,
problems.
it went to a Mullen on Nick,
Okay.
not road. That road.
All right, so were you also?
I
curious
just
about
saw that in an
Okay.
email.
So we're investigating to figure out
So
how to get them their
who
money.
calls who when they gotta bury somebody in that cemetery?
I always thought it
A
was
lot of
a
times,
house right there that. There was a house right there by Pine Banks you talk about.
You know who you could ask?
But they
if you
don't-
get a name.
One of the funeral
Well,
directors.
this my in-law.
They must know who to call.
So can I show everybody something?
Sure, well, let's just. I understand what you're saying about the fee structure. But
I think if you just scratch the adult and just put casket cremation in infant,
scratch what?
scratch the word.
Oh, adult. Okay,
And just have it as casket cremation and infant.
no, that's
There's
a good,
There's the
okay.
3 categories.
Yeah, all right. Did you get that, Judy and Dave?
Yeah,
Okay, we're gonna just take adult out of item B. Okay,
good point.
all right. So I'll submit that to whoever.
Well, you scratch infant too, right? So it's just casket.
No, we were
No,
gonna leave infant.
Usually, like Woodlawn has has three classifications. They have infant as well.
But the fees
The
themselves
fees are
won't
higher
change.
there.
Yeah,
Yes. Yeah, their fees
So
are,
it's the same infant and adult is $500.
no,
no,
a casket is 500, a cremation is 350, and an infant is 200. They don't really decide cremation or,
and that's quite a
Casket
drop
for
in the
infant.
price for the infant. At Woodlawn, the prices for an interment casket is $950. Cremation is $680, and an infant burial is $680.
yeah,
So they, but they are for profit.
Right.
they are.
Right.
That's the vast difference.
Which makes a big
And
difference.
these are the current rates, and we just don't wanna play with those.
I think we would
Yeah.
look
All
pretty
right,
bad if we reflected.
I do too.
Yes. Now, is there any, in the schedule, is there, is it, well, everything's sold, so we don't have to address that, but, you know, going forward, we'd have to, we'd have to address what it costs for a plot in the future.
I think once we have, if Pine
that
Bank
situation
rolls over,
arises.
we'd have to
Yeah, have
address
to
it
address
then.
that.
Okay, and where we got?
All right, so that's an amended
We're just gonna
note to
amend-
the resolution.
Right.
Right.
Or the policy.
Does that have to go up as a, does it have to go to the town board?
Yes.
Sure.
Oh,
Yep,
that's right
because
on
it's in
it.
the code,
So how about if I just mark that down as amended the word adult in proposed policy?
delete the word adult, yep.
And Rich questioned the suitable seating too in part A of that 45-6, part A, suitable seating. Is that the seating when you're actually having the funeral? Not to be confused with having a bench there later, like with Caprini's, that's seating.
Oh, it's also.
I
seating
thought
to
it
be
meant
taken-
the
The
base
foundation,
that holds the stone.
Oh, that's,
which is what I
oh,
mentioned.
that's right.
Is that the foundation for the stone and in looking at some of the stuff, the foundation has to get down 48 inches. So you're digging a hole in order to put a stone in there, you're putting concrete down 48 inches so that that stone isn't going to shift with frost heaves.
So should we add suitable seating of foundation?
I would.
That
define
better
it.
explains that,
I would define it, yes.
okay. I'll read.
It
type
is-
these.
Is seating a good word to use though? Because I interpreted at seating, opening and closing, suitable seating and marking. You always have chairs when you have a funeral, when the funeral takes place, the burial, you have chairs there, that's seating. So what,
Well,
Now, what
when you
else is,
set a
permanent?
foundation, seating is set.
so
It's a second
You could say
definition.
foundation,
For what?
foundation for the casket.
Oh, it's for the
That's
headstone.
adapted for these.
Yeah.
It says seating of the stone,
Yeah.
seating and marking of the stone.
Because a lot of the stones
Yeah,
that
yeah.
tipped over down at
Did you get your
Lake
Judy?
Academy
Oh,
Yeah.
are because they weren't properly set into the on the ground there. They didn't have a good
You
foundation.
guys catch what Judy said?
Yes,
Yeah.
Judy, so we're gonna say suitable seating of foundation and marking of headstone shall be responsibility of the owner.
I'm gonna put a note in there that says see amended policy.
No, I'm gonna amend this and then I can.
I've noted it, but if I keep, I mean, this is gonna go on, your minutes are gonna go on forever with each amendment.
We'll just say we discussed and we made a few changes and here's the policy and I'll clip it for you and you can
Okay.
edit it.
Karen, might have suggested, yeah, it might be the responsibility of the owner, but it should receive the should pass an inspection of some sort by some town inspector or whatever to make sure that it does go down to where it's supposed to be. I mean, if they say, well, yeah, I'm only gonna put in 2 feet instead of putting in the 4 feet, then they're not gonna get down below frost level and eventually that thing's gonna tip over.
Yeah,
Wouldn't that be whatever the company is that's doing the headstone?
And
it's usually like one old guy.
Is it really that comes in?
I mean, it's-
I don't
And
know.
we're facing a lot of these things happening. I mean, just in the 4 years that we've been working down at the academy, we've seen a lot of stones start to tip over, and some have actually flopped over. And it's because the
Because they're
ground
not
has shifted
going.
over that time, and finally, after dozens of years, decades, over they go.
So what's the situation in Sand Hill? There's only one plot that still will accept burials, right? That's the Andrews family.
So that one. You're right. We're discussing all this with regards to academy. We want to make sure that the policy is clear that it would able to be inclusive of Sand Hill.
Well, I think I understand what you're saying. But we can't build it into that because that basically talks about the costs. The next one talks about the fees. So we could see
I was gonna say, you could just add another letter.
upon approval of the town.
Yeah, upon approval and inspection.
So who's
Okay.
gonna be your inspector?
You,
Inspect,
you've got your, what is your building inspector?
yeah,
Could be the same person. You'd have to go, I mean, right now they have to go out and they have to approve a footing.
yeah.
And then they have, in order to put the foundation on it. Because if the footing isn't done right, then that house is gonna lose their wall. So, there's a lot of different steps involved in this whole thing. It should be the same thing for the cemetery, so. They have to go out and they can dig the hole. He's gonna go out and he's gonna measure it, make sure it's deep enough, and then he's gonna make sure that they pour the concrete in there, or put a form in there to put it in.
Right. Okay, and then now that I think about it, this should not go in this article because we're talking about inspection and that one only talks about cost. So let me go through and try to put it in the right section. I'll be
Something
back.
that review and review without,
Monkey wrench here, didn't I?
Yeah.
well, just quick review without bringing Doug's experience at Woodlawn in. Okay, because you can't mix apples and oranges.
Right.
We need to review current state law with regards to vaults. There's a little faint memory wandering around in my head that we have done away with the requirement for vaults in the state of New York.
I've got a meeting.
Well,
Good morning.
Good morning.
To see you later. You'll be up to later on?
I have a meeting at 10,
You'll be, oh,
but I'll be there, I'll be there until 12:15,
okay.
so yeah. You can just hang around and wait patient.
Fearless leader.
Do you want to-
All right, well,
Yeah.
Okay, do we need vote?
Oh,
Right, so we need to quickly review that.
Somewhere.
so,
Does anybody else remember that?
no, but a vault is.
That's the concrete.
The concrete, okay.
What happened? I wish I could remember this all clearly. Sorry, I can't. It because it had gotten so expensive. And they determined that there was no public health reason whatsoever to do vaults.
They still require them up at Mount Hope Cemetery.
But you gotta be careful. It's a private cemetery.
That's a municipal cemetery.
Is it? Okay,
The city owns and runs
okay.
it.
And any entity can have whatever they want. Okay, you can always go up, you
Right,
can't go down, right? From whatever state law is. If state law says you gotta have a vault, you gotta have a vault. If state law says you don't have to have a vault, but your cemetery wants to have a vault, you can have a vault.
well,
I
okay,
bet- I bet
let's
he
not
does.
send this to the town quite yet.
Yeah.
I will
There's no
quickly
rush.
review that today.
Yeah, okay, and I'll tweak where we recommended those little word changes and I'll get that to you, Lee, on computer. And then we can revisit this next month, yay. Okay. Will you be back in town next month, Judy?
Not for the meeting, no, it won't be at the second week we're coming back.
Okay,
But it's beautiful weather here now.
no.
So, I'll be here, so be here. It's not bad down here.
Darn, I thought that might be an incentive.
Hey, maybe we'll have Zoom by April.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, because there is a lick.
We gotta look at you?
There is a lick up at the top here.
There is a link, but they have been switching things over. Remember they fried something?
Yeah,
The mainframe or whatever, and
yeah.
we'll have to correct that.
That's okay, this is working.
Okay, so if we move on, the next thing I put, plans for cemetery work. I don't know if we want to set a date, maybe a walkthrough at Wolverton, just not
Yeah.
a work day,
Yeah,
but
field trip.
we could do a field trip.
I've walked through it a lot,
It-
and I will tell you, and the word, well, the phrase walk through,
Yeah.
It's more like climbing over.
might be more of a stumble and crawl, yeah.
With Getty's group. But do it in the spring though, before all the, everything leaves out.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, it's moist up there.
Let's go.
There are a
during
lot of
the
springs.
eclipse. There you go.
Maybe we should wait for Judy and Judy and Dave to come back.
Yeah.
So I would think April would be good. Boots required. Led by Richard and Dennis,
Yeah,
because he's more the historian of that cemetery in many ways than I am, because he's actually been on the site historically, in his tenure as parks.
yeah.
So you can speak to anything that we've done that you recall.
Well, you wanna pick
Because
a-
mine is only the last couple of years.
Well,
And
I
then-
know, I think it was in the seventies, there was a scout that originally cleaned that place up.
It's been cleaned up, I think, at least,
And then
Twice
it
then
grew
by
up,
scouts.
and then it grew up, and then we had the scout a few years ago.
right, Josh.
Yeah,
Yep.
Yeah, because I was gonna say, it seems like about the time the history team was formed,
Did you put up the split rail
people
fence?
started talking.
Did I what?
Did you put up the split rail fence? Okay, so,
Oh, yeah, that was put
Yeah.
up by Josh.
yeah,
Yeah.
Was he the first or the second
Second.
person?
He was the second. I have,
Okay,
I'll have to look at, I have a news article that, I don't know where I got it from, but I think it's from the seventies. There was a picture of the boy, the scout that was working up there.
okay.
And then that was the last time everyone forgot about it. And then I came on board and Ray came on board and we started talking about it. So that's when we got involved again.
and the CVs were up there with,
with Josh.
Jay
Yeah.
Dutcher.
Oh,
Yeah, they would-
CVs from our reserve center, and they did some work. And the town contributed to this funds to the split rail fence. And Josh Dutcher did the work. Jay and Josh are associated with it, obviously, because their property adjoins what's up against the cemetery. And Josh was an Eagle Scout, in need of a project.
okay.
So
So there's one property, it's Jay's property, but Josh is the son? Or
Yes.
does he have property there too?
no,
Okay,
so Josh is Andrew's age.
oh, okay.
So since that work was done in
Within the last 10
2018.
years.
Yeah,
yeah,
because the boys graduated in 2020, and
Okay.
Josh was an Eagle Scout, so it's 2018, 2019. Since then is all the damage that Richard and I saw and worked on. Okay, so it's literally, within 5 years, it went from being kind of pristine to wind damaged. And you guys probably remember the pictures, like trees came down on the fence and smashed that and fell on headstones. It's a wreck.
Because I remember when the history team first started, I remember Ray talking about it. And I got the impression that it was fairly recently from when the history team started, maybe back a year or months, I don't know which, that it was redone, that a scout had, cleaned it up
Yes.
again or.
So John will probably, as a private individual, not as a town board member, John will probably speak to it and talk about what Richard and I did. And that there was a hope that the town would, take over some of the maintenance and repairs. Richard and I were operating as private individuals. Because I felt like it was not safe for me to do that as a historian, because I'd sort of be setting a precedent, and I explained that to John at the time. So, the work that's been done is two of us. Andy has not been back yet. He wanted to get back, but other things got in the way. We had a plan. And that plan called for Andy to go in and finish the chainsaw work. He was gonna let some of the guys on the town crew take any of the wood they wanted. John was good with that. Everything else would get chipped. The chips might be used on, and there's like kind of one pathway.
Yeah, he wants to make a pathway up so he can
Yep.
get his ATV up there.
And then we would work with John, and John would ostensibly, this is as of last year, buy the split rails. And Andy and crew would repair the fence. The discussion was, and none of this was on paper, none of this was approved by the town board, none of this went farther than a discussion between Doug Finch, myself, and John. Was that going forward, the town would provide mowing support several times a year. So that it didn't get overgrown again, not to the degree that we mow the other cemeteries. Like maybe 3 or 4 mowings a year.
The grass doesn't grow down.
No, because it's all shaded out.
And I did find the date, it was 2018 that Josh.
Judge it.
And I have some, I don't know if I've shown the pictures before and after.
I don't think so. I don't think I've ever seen it
Wow.
when Josh did it. Oh, yeah.
First 2 are before and last 2 are after.
That's
Oh,
an
yeah,
after.
that's nice.
So, the reason I'm telling you all of this, and then it needs to be a matter of public record, is that was all just preliminary discussion. It was me acting as a private individual, not a representative of the town or, making any promises or, statements on the town's behalf. Former manager Doug Finch and Mr. Casey had conversations I was not privy to, and I don't know if they were ever concluded. And that's why I'm being really safe and formal in my language, because I do not know the outcome of those conversations. And so my cautionary to this committee is, go and look and see what, Mr. West and Mr. Ergasell did as private individuals, see what needs to be done, and understand that probably Mr. Nadler, the town attorney, the town supervisor, and Mr. Casey would have to have future discussions that would result in a written for public record agreement between the town and Mr. Casey, because that cemetery is entirely on Mr. Casey's property. Everything, and I would add that everything to date has been done in really good faith by all parties. That we're just, but now we're trying to rectify a really bad degradation of that cemetery.
Well, and
So it calls for a whole lot more.
we're trying to reestablish conversation,
Mhm.
and get it going again with
Yep.
Mr. Casey.
Yep.
So, looking in April, after the Yorks are back, can we pick a tentative date during the day when we could go up and look at the cemetery? I'll talk to John. John doesn't care. He said certainly we could go look at it.
So I think it was a big concern here to have a formal written agreement is one of the things you have to consider is a limit of liability. Because it's on John's property and therefore anything that's done there, he would factor in to the liability, even though he made it. They're sure to come on up and do what you have to do.
Right.
You wanted to be able to absolve him of any liability. If somebody gets hurt up there.
That's right.
Well, hopefully the town would cover that.
Yeah, Dennis, those pictures are really
Nice.
nice. Yeah,
Good
nice
photographer.
documentation.
Before and after.
Yes,
Very nice.
And
yeah.
that one is Wolverton?
I may need
Yeah.
to make digital copies of some of those so I can stick them in. The binder I have.
So when are you back, Judy?
We'll probably safely be back by the 13th of April.
Okay, so the following week, what about, I don't know, it's Wednesday.
Anything on the weekend, or do you guys do weekdays?
Well,
We
well,
still-
We're all retired.
We could do a weekday, can't we?
yeah. Yeah,
Could we get Jay's permission to park in his driveway? Because if we can park in his driveway, it's a short walk.
Is it?
I don't know.
Otherwise, if we park down with John, it's a haul.
I would, if you get Jay's email. I've got it.
Oh, I think I've got.
You, right, I was saying, you guys are friends too.
We might want a carpool.
I'm
We
gonna-
might want a carpool.
I forget that.
I don't know.
Not living over in your
All
neighborhood,
I know is that he lives on Weifels. I have no idea what number it is or anything.
almost to the foot of the hill, pretty close. A few houses.
Almost to the lake road.
But there's a few houses there. I wouldn't want to park in the wrong.
He's on the north side of the
It's
road.
a short trip from his house to
Yeah.
walk over.
Yeah, you just gotta
Carpool,
have to go over the gully and up the hill, right?
well, carpooling's a good idea then, Deb.
Yeah, car, I mean, if we did that, we would want a carpool or
Yeah.
something.
Okay.
Oh.
I don't know.
How about Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 17, 18, 19, one of those
All
days?
3 days we're gonna go.
One of them.
Oh,
Camp out.
Yeah, any of those.
I don't have my. calendar.
18th is better for us, Tuesdays usually.
Well, you know what, we'll plan 18, and if it's,
Thursday.
it's bad weather, we'll try it for the 19th.
Okay.
Okay,
I think we should come here and then carpool.
Yeah.
How do you
Yeah,
feel
what
about
time?
that? What time here?
I don't know, what time is, good to start in April? 10?
Yeah,
What was the date we
10 a.m.
decided?
so it's gonna be Thursday.
18th,
On Thursday.
weather permitting, or 19th,
Oh, no, it can't be on the nineteenth.
why?
It's, yes, it could be. It's Patriot Day. Patriot Day. Richard and I are probably the only two people sitting at this table that are intimately familiar with Patriot Day. That's the day
It's
the
also a-
shot heard round.
Oh.
Okay,
It's
it's the
also,
real Fourth of July.
it's also our daughter's birthday, April
Yeah.
19th.
Yeah, and I don't
That's
put my
actually-
snowball
that's
away
awesome.
until after her birthday, because we've been burned so many times.
Yeah, down in Jersey.
I'm a major proponent of that day.
So at 10, meet here at 10?
Meet at 10 o'clock here at the town hall on the 18th of April.
Okay.
We'll carpool. And.
And you'll check with
so
Jay to
I'll
see if we
check
can
with
park.
Jay, or you'll check with Jay, both of us will check,
Well,
that way we'll get them for sure.
Check with Jay and John?
Yeah,
Okay.
but if we're all gonna hike in from Jay's, and we'll let John know we're coming, that's good.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
that's, yeah, John.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
both of them
yeah.
probably meet.
That could be
together.
bad. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
hey, Lincoln's in the hunting season, so
No, turkey won't open until May 1st.
Oh, we're in
But
our-
good question.
we're in our
Yes, it is.
fest anyway.
Fest.
don't wear red.
And don't gobble.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Okay, good.
I don't have much else on this agenda, you guys have been doing a lot of other talking.
Through this reach.
Okay.
I have Wreaths Across America. I just want to mention a couple things real briefly. Rich set up the poster. I've already been in touch with Wreaths
Oh.
Across America. So
Wow,
we have the poster for this year. It's December 14th, December 14th. Okay, and Rich can talk to this, but he was over here talking to Kim about setting up something on the website under cemetery committee. So what I've done is I went through the pictures that Rich took at Hun, that Katie and I took at Academy. And I've come up with 26 pictures for each cemetery to put on the town website under the Wreaths Across America 2023. And then I've selected 4 pictures that Rich will put on our Wreaths Across America website for the 2 cemeteries. I don't want to load those with a lot of pictures, so I've selected 4.
And
Um,
and just
so,
so that. I saw some pictures taken by the gentleman down the other end of this row here.
oh,
He
yes,
took it on, and if he'd like to submit those in for submission onto the website, that'd be great.
oh,
I mean, you took some very nice pictures.
yes, yeah, that's, I don't know if you want to send them to us so we can take a look, or how.
Yeah, that'd be good. If
Gotta
you could-
figure out where they are.
So.
Well, I still have some
Are
large
you
copies.
still shooting
here,
film or you
I don't know how
shoot
many
digitally?
pages.
Oh, hard copy, okay.
Richard?
Yeah.
Make a note that, Dennis is a good photographer
I did.
and that he's shooting digitally, so.
Yeah, I
We got a whole
saw
lot.
that when he showed us those pictures last time, so I was very impressed.
I completely forgot that you mentioned you're a photographer. Now you're outed, pal.
So they
So,
always have me take pictures of Halloween down on that.
okay, so did you have something else?
Oh, yes, does the cemetery committee, I know I mentioned it briefly at the last meeting. The Wreaths Across America Mobile Education Exhibit. Do we want to look into that with some of the other towns to see about getting it in our area? Or do we not want to bother? I went out and found their tour schedule for 2024. I'll pass a couple copies around.
Now, what does it consist of?
It's a long trailer.
Like a
That,
semi-trailer, right?
yes, in fact, I even saved, and even go out on the website for Wreaths Across America for their mobile education exhibit. But it expands and it's a 24 person screening room that showcases the different aspects of the Wreaths Across America mission through video. It's a 48-foot exhibit, so it comes on an 18-wheeler. I mean, it's part of an 18-wheeler. And to the front of the exhibit, there are 3 interactive computers to showcase locations, trucking supporters, and general Wreaths sponsorship questions. Also in the front is an education wall of information on the different areas of Wreaths Across America and where the mission will be going in years to come. The purpose is not only to teach the next generation about service and sacrifice, but to share stories of patriotism and love of country to communities around the United States. So what I just passed out, that shows where their schedule is for 2024. And they're in the, you know, what states and where, but they always, well, I shouldn't say always, it sounds like they accompany the Wreaths Across America from Maine down to Arlington as well. So that they arrive, you know, a couple days before the action, like say December 14th of this year. So wherever it is, it heads back to Maine, which is their home, and then goes down to DC. But it's something that I don't think we'd want to tackle ourselves because you want to do publicity and everything for it. Friends of ours down in Jersey, the DAR chapter that she's with, they did it for their it's in the town of Succasunna and they call it their Succasunny Days. And they did it so that it was kind of like a town event.
So,
But it's a big 18, you know, it's a big
Well, and
trail.
so to handle the trailer and visitors, you have to have a substantial footprint
Well,
for your
like,
parking.
Yes, because they also have, there's the footprint and I can send out the trailer dimensions. They have canopies that come out of it too, so it's not just the width of the trailer, there are
Right.
canopies. And then there's also a ramp so that disabled
Yeah.
people can get into the exhibit
That makes
as
us
as
exactly
well.
where to hold it.
What about the
And
school
old-
systems?
I was gonna
You took
say
the words right out,
school.
because it should be on school grounds.
Yeah, I
What
think
did you-
it's something that schools should do,
What did you mention, Dennis? Have it where?
have
Okay.
it on the school
Oh,
grounds or something.
What about the old Wegman parking lot though? Because you've got tremendous visibility.
Down
The
South Main.
But you know what?
That
parking
street
down
corner's
there-
full of People's
part-
house.
That parking lot has really become
Yes,
full down there now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And-
Since
And the
U of R.
advantage of doing it on the school, because I was thinking the same thing, we automatically can get students through that. You know, we're gonna get fourth grader, seventh grader. You know, whether they do this whole building.
Because it could be a field trip day for them.
For the high school?
You know, when I,
Which school?
when I
I'm
was
not-
teaching, I don't know if you remember the Freedom Train. I forgot how many years ago there was a Freedom Train. Well,
1976 one?
76.
I was
You know, we all took, I forgot where it was located now, but we all took our kids for a field trip to that Freedom Train.
Arcadia to Warsaw was one of them. Arcadia to Warsaw was one of them. They did them,
Had to be closer by for us.
well, they did legs, like that never connected. So that, like, there was like a candidate with Avon or something.
Mhm.
And then there was the Arcadia to Warsaw, and then, yeah,
Yeah.
that was a very cool thing. And you're right, that's exactly what we want to see happen.
Yeah, I mean, it was a
That was
great way to
And I
educate the kids, because,
Yeah,
I mean, if you use this term in front of a kid right now, I'm sure they wouldn't understand it, but if they could understand why we do something like that.
right.
Yep.
And
Because
I
they're gonna
don't-
pick up a lot, just like you just
And-
described.
And I don't know, how long it stays at each location.
So let's
Right.
think this, we need to. What's the deadline to sign up?
Well, there was a button you could click to have your location included, but I didn't click that. I haven't clicked that button yet.
Would you click that button?
Not that I can.
As historian, I will,
Yeah.
because I know it's like taking committee action. Makes it more difficult. If you don't mind, Karen, I'll suggest as historian. That the history team, is it all right with the cemetery committee if the history team takes this on?
I was thinking, I'm thinking all three, the Canandaigua History Alliance, the history team.
But if
and
you
the
act
cemetery
as
committee.
as a history team member, we can, and click on that.
I'm doing Wreaths Across America.
No, just click on that. So.
Yeah, no,
Then we can quickly act, we're more nimble, right? Because we
When you
require
look at
less.
this, schedule.
schedule, yeah.
It looks like they'll, might be able to come here in November.
Now, they were off, they did the eastern part of New York State. There were a couple spots. I'm sorry, Patty, I didn't make a note.
Oh, it's all right, I just.
And Judy and Dave, I'll send this to you so you folks have it as well.
Okay, thank you.
What I'm just reading. I think they did along like the Hudson River or whatever. But I don't remember, when. I think it was in 2023. So they might still have that on their.
All right, so
on their
let me
website.
cut through this quickly so that you have the authorization to click. And that we have a sense of where we might go with this based on what Dennis said. Cause I completely agree with that, like, cannot tell you how much I agree with that.
Yeah, having it at a school.
We could reach out to both the Legion and the school district immediately. Once if after that click, you have information that we can do this.
Mhm.
Because we could get their, if we could get their buy-in, we could have veterans with us on site. We could even set up a spot for veterans or an opportunity for veterans to talk about their service. It could be tied back to Veterans Day if it's in November. Holy cow, how great would that be?
Mhm.
And we have a built-in contact at the middle school, who I will put in a headlock. And I will make Judy hog time. What do you think, Judy? Did we get Devin to help us with this?
I can't speak for him.
I know you can't, but he'd be a good contact. I mean, I know he's done similar things at the middle school. He's not retired yet, right? Next fall.
Yeah, it's not lacrosse season.
You got a which building is your grandson teaching in?
In middle school, he's
Uh-huh,
7th grade.
okay.
Oh, okay. And
We get two social studies teachers in that middle school and
Right.
Devin
Yeah.
did, I can tell you from personal experience, Devin, when I was deployed overseas. Devin and a couple other guys did this whole big patriotic ceremony out at the flagpole to raise a flag that I sent home and all that kind of stuff. So
Oh,
we have, the middle school would be like, to me, the ideal building.
Yeah.
Where is the middle school? I
Um,
have no idea.
Fort
where it is.
Hill,
The Granger, or-
Yeah, and the green.
The Granger,
I always go down Fort Hill and then you,
yeah.
It's the old high school.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know-
I don't, we didn't, mind you, when we moved here, our kids were grown.
all right, so you know where the
and so
academy,
we
the
have
old
no-
academy is on Main Street, right? You know, the building,
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
out behind there.
Oh,
Okay.
You
okay.
know where Granger Homestead is?
Yes,
Go
yeah.
straight down
Yeah.
that road.
Oh,
Just
okay.
Drive right in the market.
Oh, okay.
That's easier. You
Okay.
know.
Now the website also gives suggestions on how to incorporate it with like other activities or whatever.
Mhm.
So, and they will, I mean, if it's any indication how they helped us and how supportive they are with the Wreaths program itself, they're gonna have the same good support for, you know, any questions you have for the mobile education.
So with the cemetery committee's permission, Judy, David, with the cemetery committee's permission, the history team would like to act on behalf of both the committee and the community to investigate the possibility of doing this.
Sounds good.
Everybody good with that, Judy?
I think that's a wonderful idea.
Hi,
There we go. That's what I needed, Dave.
What he said.
And I will put the touch on the son and grandson. And then you can follow up with yeah, you gotta do this, you gotta help Leaf and the historian, the history team, the cemetery committee.
well,
Okay,
if
so-
if you get the other
So-
communities that do reads included,
Yeah,
I'll be
yeah.
eager to buy into this.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. And then, Judy, you could get in touch with Susie Wells again and we could have her do a story in, the Penny Saver, one of those full page stories that she does. And,
Officially called on us.
it's
What is
called, it's the Wreaths Across America Mobile Education Exhibit. So they call it the MEE.
Oh, and-
So, yeah, so you can go out, anybody can go out to the wreathsacrossamerica.org website. And then you can look for the, you know, information on the mobile education unit. They have truckings, you know, specs to make sure that it's going to, you know, fit in your, wherever you want to have the exhibit. And there's a bunch of different buttons to push, you know,
Yeah.
to, you know, for information. So, okay, so that's all I have for Wreaths, but then Rich can continue on.
I
That's
spoke,
exciting.
I spoke to Kim, and did some mock-up pages for, the Reach Across America web pages for the town. So I met with her last week sometime.
I think so, yeah.
And,
Yeah, I think
so I left, these pages with her, went over them with her. And what I suggested she put under the local history project team where they have links underneath that. It says Town of Canandaigua Cemeteries. I wanted to have a inserted link, Canandaigua's Wreaths Across America. So that would take it out to to the cemetery committee. And then that would be presented on the cemetery committee here as a blurb about the Wreaths Across America. And then if you click on that, it would take you actually to a national Wreaths Across America webpage.
Oh,
And so you'd have information about Wreaths Across America and then photos here, and like every year you'd have another
yeah,
subheading.
another link.
And then you have for both Academy and Han, and if we develop this, so we have more cemeteries, then each year, you know, this would build down, so you have different links. And then when you go out to the actual page, you'd have a page full of photos with captions. So we can
Oh, nice, yeah.
identify the people
Yeah,
that are in this,
yeah.
because when we have notables like, you know, Pam Helming, there, you want to point this out.
Yep.
So it would, I don't know how soon this will come to fruition, but,
That's awesome though, yeah.
so we'll see what she and Mike can come up with, because I guess Mike is gonna be working on this as well.
Mike. There's two mics here, so which
Oh.
mic is it?
the Mike that sits in this.
This is with Kristen.
Yeah,
Is that Mike Warner?
yeah, Mike, yeah.
Okay, okay. And I've already come up with the captions for the pictures. So, you know,
Okay,
so.
I think we've done a lot today.
The only thing I had to ask,
Rich was-
Karen, if you recall, when we met, when the Candidate with History Alliance had its meeting, I requested that we make a request of the cemetery committee to hold a potential Memorial Day ceremony, May 30th, traditional, at, I'll just check our minutes again.
Academy, I think we
At
decided.
Academy Cemetery. To be publicly announced, but primarily to honor the veterans. In other words, I guess what we're saying is we will try to make a big deal out of it, but if we don't, that's not our first goal. Our first goal is just like trees across America. So if the cemetery committee is amenable, we'd like to do that, like to pursue that.
The history team wants to pursue.
Alliance, the Candidate with History
Oh.
Alliance.
History Alliance, Canandaigua History Alliance.
Yeah,
Okay,
I know, 3 entities all mucking around in cemeteries.
I know. Those people can't get any
Well,
rest.
you're the boss of those, of what we get to do in those cemeteries. You guys.
one more thing. Somebody tasked me, I won't name names.
Oh, Leaf, but check if Leaf's finished with what he was talking before you go to the GPR. Are you finished?
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm just gonna put that in the notes. Go ahead.
Okay, Leaf tasked me with finding out about, putting together a proposal for GPR. And there's a company out there, US Radar, they make the equipment. It's a US owned and operated company. And they have all sorts of training as well as on how to use it. Now, this is a company that sells the equipment. There's also, I found, there's 3 companies that actually do the location services. And some of these are very extensive as to what they do. In all cases, you have to, if you want more information, you've got to click on the button and in order to get it. And what I would need to go further is I would need to know, okay, get some sort of authorization. So go ahead and click that button in order to say that I'm representing the committee so that I can find out what the cost of the stuff is, what it would cost for the services, so I can, have a comparison. Some of these places give very extensive services. They actually lay out the plots for you and everything else, which is kind of nice. Others just tell you, yeah, there's something there. It depends upon what you pay for. But, if the argument's going to be, do we hire a service to come in and do this mapping? Or,
Hey, guys.
yeah,
Oh, I'm sorry to interrupt. Dave and Judy have to bow out now. We have a 10:30 thing, so,
okay.
We miss you. We'll see you.
okay, do we need to say yes on anything else? Or no?
I think you're good.
No, I think we'll save major decisions for the next meeting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, thanks, guys.
All right, guys.
Okay.
Sure.
Bye, have a good day.
So,
Okay.
it's working.
So,
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
bye. So if I can get an okay to go ahead and proceed with this and not to commit to us anything, but just to, in order to,
So the next level of
prices.
investigation to see what it costs, and then we really need to sell it to the town too.
yeah, exactly. And my thought is that one of the questions that was asked of one of the manufacturers was, okay, how long would it take to do a football field to scan it? It's just as a point of reference. And the person said 2 days. So considering that that's just to scan a football field, but you have a lot of stones in there, it might take longer if you had a whole bunch of stones in place. And if your terrain is up and down and all over the place, it's may impact on that as well. So that's just the scanning, but then you have the interpretation and then the plotting and everything else. So it comes down, okay, if you have bad weather, is that gonna hinder the doing all this? So the argument is gonna be, do you hire a service, whatever the price is gonna be, versus do you buy the equipment, get trained through the highway department, because they could use this for locating pipes and electrical stuff and everything else underground, so it could have a dual purpose.
Yeah.
These things have, you can get a single frequency, like a low frequency, which will go deeper into the ground, or you can have a higher frequency, which is gonna give you more detail. And some of them have multiple frequencies, so you have both there, so you get more detail plus penetration. If it's something that the town buys, and these are looking at something that's probably around 25 grand or higher, and it also has GPS mapping. So that way, as you go along, not only is it giving you that there's something down there, but it's also giving you a GPS location from each one of those plots.
Wow,
So but
that's pretty cool.
considering all of the
The dollar
cemeteries we
sign is
have.
what.
Well,
throws people off.
that's where the argument comes in.
Yeah.
If we hire somebody, a service to come in and do all this with the 8 cemeteries that we have, that could add up, trying to work around weather and everything else. But if the town was to purchase it and it can be shared by, not only the cemetery committee, but also by the DPW for the town, then we got dual usage here and it would.
What was the price tag, Richard?
What?
What's the price tag on?
It can go from anywhere from 25 on up, depending upon with a multi-frequency.
So I think this is just me spitballing. I think there's a couple actual
25,
Okay,
Okay, yeah.
ways to skin that cat, and that is not just through the town, but also through the county.
So far as county.
And they have it be a county asset that the towns can.
what department in public
It
works?
is, well, yeah, that's what I'm thinking, Public Works.
They don't like to share.
Yeah,
I know that, they don't like
Yeah,
to share.
okay.
Oh, that's not very
What are your
nice.
thoughts on that? Cause you work,
Well,
Worked there, so-
the commissioner's been there, wow, a long time, 30 years. Nice guy, but I just don't see them, what do they share with the town? They have intermunicipal agreements. I mean, they.
the only reason I said it is because I know like Donna Herendeen over in Farmington would be in favor of the county had it. Now, if that doesn't do a damn bit of good, if, as you say, they don't want to play with the towns that
Well,
they
but
actually serve.
if this town purchased it
Mhm.
and you rent it to these other places,
Yeah.
once they
Right,
see
then it
what a
becomes
great
a-
toy we have. And then it's not really sharing, but
yeah,
they're,
we retain, if we
contributing
retain it,
that way.
then we would have priority, first priority.
so we would
for
have
use.
the person that was trained
Yep. That would go along with it.
that goes with it.
So
So then you can charge
that's
them.
a way of
You know,
skinning.
so I mean,
Yeah.
that's,
No, that's
that
a
would be
way-
a good way to present it to them.
Yep.
And so we all benefit, but you can either give us some money up front now and then, I mean, you'd have to figure out what.
I will say this too, so Farmington plays well with Canada. On a lot of issues. Because there's so much shared interest
Mhm,
out on that 332. corridor.
Sure.
Well, and they share in the water.
That's what it's
That's
making
one
me
of the
think of that,
biggest.
yeah, the water tower, whole water
Okay.
connection.
Mm.
And Jared has a good working relationship with really good relationship with their supervisor. I don't think, like, that might be another way to go.
Mhm,
And then if they share the cost, then they can also share the rental
right.
benefits. And making the case that it's, yeah, all the cemeteries could use it. You know, Department of Public Works at both towns, if they suddenly felt they had a need to go searching for a lost electric
I
line,
mean, those two departments share equipment, don't they?
probably. I'd be surprised if they didn't. And I think that, like, if the cemetery committee just put together a proposal,
So
simple
like,
proposal,
if there
gave it
was
to
a
Jared.
big
Yeah.
tree chipper, didn't they like rent it out to the towns from the county, that kind of thing? A handshake here, you get it for so many hours.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And if you break it, you have to fix it.
yeah.
Because what I'm aiming toward, is with ground penetrating radar, let me just show you. This is, as examples. This is a cemetery where my folks are buried, but this is, they have the software they use. You get an overview of all the roads that are in the cemetery. As you zoom in on that, you pick up the names of the roads throughout it. Zoom in on that further, and you can actually get the headstones or the stones, and you have the plots here that are available. So, all the ones in green, you can click on those and get the information on. And then that information can be, if you click on the stone
Wow.
itself, it brings up the stone. You can click on the arrow next to it, it brings up the information, who's buried there. And then the information, you click on the name, it brings up the individual person's name. And then you have, and if you click on another thing, it brings up the actual information for the whole.
You like making work for yourself, don't you? Because you just told me you got so many irons in the fire.
Well, the thing is,
Because I have another thought that Doug might be interested in either renting or helping, just being involved in the acquisition because of the potential use for him, because the unsold plots thing,
yes.
Yeah.
That gives us.
he could have that on his website. People could,
Yeah, because this way,
Yeah.
people don't know that there's a space available, who are you gonna, but if this is available, I mean, this is right on the town website, it's there, now they have, like, here, that's a building that takes care of the cemetery. All the maintenance crew, they got 3 or 4 people there, and that's their whole job is just the cemetery.
so you recall that Woodlawn now has property within the town too.
Yeah,
Oh,
they go way back.
Yeah,
really?
they picked up some, I don't know, it was off of Dave, might have been off of Dave Sauter.
Yeah, take a look.
So that they actually, part of the property just flops over onto the, our side of the line. So,
Onto Dave Sauter's property?
well, Dave sold
Sold
to
it to
Woodlawn, yeah, or Dave, I'm not sure which.
Wow.
So, yeah, so Woodlawn is now both city and town now, but I don't think they sold anything or interred anybody on the town side. I think that was just, look forward leaning, to the future. So, but that gives Doug, a realistic reason to say, oh, the town is thinking about doing this
Mhm.
and I have an interest in this, however that interest is defined. My sense of this would be, for the public record, that this has a lot more legs than people would think, at first blush. They would hear Richard, they go, you want to spend $25,000 to find a bunch of old dead people who've been missing for 100 years?
You do
Yeah, well, that's not
it,
good
you
use of
see
the
those old
taxpayers'
boats that
money.
have been crashed at the bottom of the lake and that was.
But when you expand on that and you realize that it not only helps locate those, but it could help locate, utilities,
Yeah.
that it could be used in an active cemetery, that other communities might want to borrow it or rent it off of us. I mean, I think then that becomes a whole much bigger topic that the town may choose to look at.
Something like ground penetrating radar, going through a cemetery that isn't laid out yet. You got that extra land, and you have all that land that's on Pine Bank in the future that might be, they could go in and they could actually lay out the plots, but with a ground penetrating radar, they'd be able to find out if there's that 25-ton boulder that's in,
Sure.
down there that's going to impede
So
assigning a burial plot.
Exclusive of the cemetery having any future interest in Pine Bank, because I think we have to, while we have our eyes open to that, I think we have to be careful we don't offend the Pine Bank Association. But that said, they may be interested in it just as you described, as long as they remain active, because it is a tool.
Do
I-
we know of any other organization or municipality that owns one of these right now?
No,
Just where his parents are.
Not this type of, I mean,
Locally.
Yeah.
there are companies out there that, have your wands.
Yeah.
But, and that picks up metal, the ferrous and non-ferrous and this sort of thing. But This thing here actually can give you the depth of the whole thing. It actually can plot everything out, depending upon the software that's in it. Depends upon the sophistication of the unit and also the person, you know, who's using it as to their interpretation of.
Is it like a drone?
No,
it isn't.
it's a cart.
It's a, you can have something that you drag, you can walk and just drag it behind you.
Okay.
Or you can have something,
A lot of times they look at a walker. more or less.
it's a walker that, and this thing actually slides along on the ground. Like that picture
Okay,
there.
I see.
SUNY Rockport had one, Karen, and I had it, used it on a cemetery, and theirs was not, it was a couple generations behind this.
Yeah,
Right, it did not even close. It's probably now 10 years old.
But I would.
They were the
like-
only ones in the region.
And I'm wondering if it's something that you can update the software, whatever it runs on, if that's something that can be updated as more.
It's a good idea. 'cause
Changes
that
are
changes so
made too.
quickly.
Well, I would,
Upgrades.
I would, since
Yeah.
I know
Well-
a couple of people buried here, I can, next time I'm up there, which will be in the spring. I could, in June, we're gonna be up in that area. I might, if I could arrange to meet with the person in charge of the cemetery. And find out what software they're using and this sort of thing. I'd like to know what software they're using, because this isn't standard software.
So I don't know how the,
Because this is something that could be set up on our website, so people could go in and click on a particular stone and get information about it. That's, you know, it's a database basically. And this is what I talked about like 4 years ago.
it's
when we
just,
first
and it
started.
brings alive all the work you've done.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so does the
Yeah.
cemetery
But to
committee
answer-
comfortable with Richard pursuing?
Well,
Because
yeah,
the history team would be very interested in that, in
and I'd love
supporting
to
that.
hear what Jared thinks.
And that's what I was thinking, maybe doing,
After we had the,
that's to put everything
the
together.
Caprinis or.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
as
is that a-
historian
I
and
don't
the
even know
history
what's
team,
on.
you don't.
we
know.
would
Okay.
support Richard putting together a proposal for Jared.
Yeah,
And maybe even doing, and I want to say that we need to be ready to take that to the level where it calls for a presentation at a town board meeting.
well, I think you gotta get.
After.
Get all the information.
Yep.
I got a long way to go.
How to-
Yeah, but I want you to be aware that that's where that's,
Yeah, well,
he's,
that's-
I know he's got a lot going on.
And to your point, Karen, I don't know, is your question as to whether we know if anybody else has one around? We don't know that. I don't know whether.
I do. I could, well, my knowledge
With
is
you, with your.
predicated on it's dated at this point. Okay. When I went looking for it 6 years ago, the only one was SUNY Brockport. I did try the county. I tried FLCC. I tried a number of places and everybody told me, yeah, no, and I don't know where there is.
Mhm.
The only place I found one was the geology department at SUNY Brockport.
And that's where they're used a lot.
Yeah, now you might find one at like U of R now.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're not gonna,
But
they're
then-
kind of unusual.
But if we want to do a project, and each cemetery is going to be a project. If we want to do a project, if we're going to borrow for somebody else, or we're going to rent the services of somebody, whatever. It's going to be based on their availability, weather availability, and our availability. As well as the
And I
cost of the
think-
whole thing.
I
So
think,
if we owned it ourselves, if we're gonna get a break on the weather, wanna go out and get part of this cemetery done this day, we could do that. And then just pick up.
right, and if Jim Fletcher said, hey, I gotta have it to go look for.
Exactly.
Well, he'd be the one who needs help.
Well,
Too. because-
So
yeah.
Jim is not a fan,
I know,
okay? He's not a fan because the variation that he had tried did not work well in our soils. Now, that's not the technology,
That's the soil,
right? Well, and it's also the specific machine.
because you have different frequencies that overcome that.
So, if you found a model, I think then the other thing is, how well does that work? In finding utilities, and what do they say about soil types and,
Because our soil is our soil. So
Right,
if it doesn't
right.
work.
and are there, and then within that, we have a couple of different soil types in the town of Canada. Because we have
Do
soil
the
north of
utilities
520
have
south.
this?
And it's,
Utility companies?
Yeah,
I would think that they probably do,
I mean, that's another, I
but
mean,
you know,
they do a lot of digging.
yeah.
They
I
should
mean,
have,
that'd be one thing we could, I could check on to see,
you
you know, what utility company has it, but either they're gonna have something new or they're gonna have something old. And, you know, with our soil type, as Leif mentioned, you know, we got a lot of clay
With shale embedded.
and shale and not very much sand. And, so it's gonna be a challenge, on some of these things, but.
I
But the
know
thing
it
is,
did-
if you dig up a grave though, if you're digging a hole and you fill it back in again, you'll be able to tell that because the soil's been disturbed and these things do pick up on variations in soil density. So if you,
SUNY Brockport didn't have a problem with the soil over in Bloomfield. They had a problem with the machine. Like they expected it to perform and they knew the soil type. And the geology department, they know the soil type and every
right.
nook and
right.
cranny, right? They were just having, their machine was giving them trouble that day.
mhm.
North side of Canandaigua is the same as Bloomfield. It's clay. But then from what I gathered from Jim, what causes the problem around here are all the intrusions and the shales and things. With the unit that he had used.
okay,
And the only reason I made the cautionary about doing a proposal for the town is this is a lot of work. So if we're gonna authorize Richard, we just need to realize that we're asking you
to do a lot.
to do a lot of work. It's gonna go, if it starts to look, you know, the more possible it looks, the farther it's gonna go, the more it's gonna be. So
Well,
Maybe somebody could help you.
I will too, whatever
Or the
degree I
guy
can.
down- Or the guy down at the end.
Yeah, the guy that, and,
The thing is, you know.
well, you know what, another one who might would be Evan Smith on History Lines, because he's also a tech and kind of guy. He might find that fast.
That'd be good. Because
And
I mean, I'm welcome to any and all help.
Nancy
Because this
Hayden's
is-
husband,
Oh, Dave.
he might be a guy who would also, like, and I think that's what something like this calls for is a group of people who really understand
the need.
how technology could change this and what it can do and are interested in.
Cause you would really have to sell it to
Oh,
Yeah,
especially
powers that be.
if the DPW,
Guys with the wallet.
if he's not.
To the
yeah.
wallet.
well, and Jim, I will tell you,
If Jim's not really interested, it's gonna be a harder sell job.
right, and Jim might say, yeah, you know, I'm all for it, but I can't use it. And then you gotta have the, well, so is Donna Herendeen, you know, or. You know, like you suggested, renting it. You know, like, I think I don't think it's a thing where you get, if you get pushback just from the DPW that you go, we're done,
Yeah,
you know, we're dead in the water.
I mean,
There's a lot of players.
there's a lot of towns around here that just the cemeteries themselves, they may be interested in renting it.
Doug Stone might say, hey, yeah, meet me halfway, I'll cough up half of it.
yeah, so
Yeah.
getting your prices and all that. stuff.
What's 12 grand,
You got a lot of homework.
given the price of a funeral today, you know, that's peanuts to
Well, I'll
All as
help
much
you
as I've got,
somehow.
you know, what's that saying? God put me on earth to get a certain amount done. Right now, I'm so far behind, I'll never die.
That's it.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a Calvin
Yeah.
cartoon. Okay, well, I'll try and I'd like to see how they did their, you know, up in the end, or how they laid it all out and speak to them. And I can probably just probably just go to the shed and talk to the people that manage the cemetery. And,
just see their reactions.
Yeah,
They might be like, oh, man, that's a pain in the
well,
neck.
because when we were up there,
We love it.
Yeah, right.
spring was it, we were up there?
Yes.
We went up to clean my folks' gravestone and,
Oh, it shows in the fall.
no,
because we
it was
planted
the fall,
bulbs.
okay,
Planted
went up in
bulbs,
the
so-
fall, cleaned the gravestone. And one of the newest hire over there came, he'd only been there for about 3 months, I guess, came over. He was very interested to see what we're doing, everything else,
Mhm.
but they're friendly as all get out.
Yeah.
And so I don't think we'd have any problem talking to them. And, but they have a cemetery committee in Andover that has to oversee everything as well.
It's a good place to start.
Yeah, that's what I figured. you got a vested interest, so, but I'm
Yeah.
especially impressed with the software because you can tell, you know, every veteran's got a flag, that they, you know, shown on the zoom in map, which is really nice, and then you can see where the available plots are, and I think that's a big benefit. If somebody is looking for.
You need more paper?
Would it benefit the VA anyway?
I don't know,
Writing.
I think the VA probably relies on,
Thank you.
unless it's a military cemetery, I think the VA probably relies on the individual town or whatever to know where the people are buried there.
What about other
Religion.
historical societies like Bristol? Are they?
Yeah, Bristol
cooperative?
Bloomfield might be
Are they
potential
cooperative
users.
with- Or do you have connections with
Yeah.
them too?
That's all Thomas is
Oh, that's right, Bristol, she's with.
she's everything in Bristol.
So
The
there
other
are,
thing you might think about is talk to Mike Warner.
Yeah.
Whether that's something that zoning might occasionally want to use.
All these new houses and stuff they're doing, like. you're looking
Yeah, when there's
at
construction going on and
older
they have
size
questions,
houses.
I don't know if that's something they're even authorized to do. Or if they would have need of it, but I think it's worth asking him.
Once you get all the information,
Cause I know that
the big presentation.
just as an example, I know that Morel could possibly have used something like this when they're laying things out, because on Riley's Run, across from us, on the north side of the road, there is a new section. You go down 6 inches and you got shale, and they were surprised because they put in a model home at the bottom of the whole sweep there. And they had to jackhammer out the basement in order to put in their model home, and every house up from that had to be jackhammered, the basement had to be jackhammered out. And so, you know, if they had known that ahead of time, might they have then decided, okay, we'll do our layout
You can
differently?
move it over here
Or,
instead.
or bring the ground up higher or whatever, because they cut a lot of hillside out there when they came down and went back up again. But Donna and I saw it before any of that was done. It was just a bare meadow there. And it was, the elevation was a lot higher in that whole section. So if they had chosen not to strip the land of the topsoil, they could have left it there and just put the houses in.
And maybe Mike is just a, way to sit in, if we could put together a working group of people who are interested and really understand the potential of the technology, just ask Mike to sit in and listen.
Yeah.
And see, because he may think of things that we would never,
Right.
never heard of this. No, I think it's a great, I really do, and you and I have talked about it a bunch of times, we talked about the history team. It is pricey, but I think it's a piece of technology that history team, cemetery committee, and others could really utilize, put to work.
I mean,
because it's not like you're gonna use it for just a year and then
Right.
not use it anymore. It's gonna,
It's gonna be
Right.
an ongoing
it's
thing.
gonna be an ongoing.
Because you
thing,
figure if
yeah.
everybody's, if like the history team is out there, or the cemetery committee is out there, and we're getting, find out where all these places are, it's gonna take us more than a year to get all the cemeteries covered and mapped out.
Yeah.
But Parks and Rec, has a big job now too. We keep adding things to their menu of properties they have to take care of. And I could see where there might be times when Andy would want to know before I sink the backhoe, what the hell's underneath me. And, you're supposed to be able to, you guys know, I mean, pull records that'll show you where everything's buried. A lot of times Jim's able to say it's X number of feet from here to there. But I don't know, I would guess that there are probably times when you have a question mark over your head too. though.
I know like when they were building our house, and they had all the different colored flags out there.
Gas, water, sewer.
Yeah, I went out with a tape measure and I measured from the front of the house, from different points in the front of the house. Measured out and plotted all those lines so that in the future. I know
Yeah.
exactly where they are, just in case.
I have, if you had time, I have a funny story. I was a kid working in landscaping. I was up at the U of R, I was a college grad, just digging in the dirt, make a couple bucks. And the crew I was working for, were planting rows of arborvitaes in like a median within the parking lot, right? And the guy on the backhoe, he had the blueprints, okay? He sank the auger to drill the hole for the arborvitae and he hit one of the lines that fed the city of Rochester.
Well, somebody
You didn't know how to read those blueprints?
I don't know, but I was like, yeah, well, that's how it happens.
Well,
And it
somebody
does.
did that, the, over by Public Works in the city, they're digging away, all of a sudden the whole city went out.
Yep,
Blew it, and it was like, wow, some of it caused. the-
so those blueprints and schematics are only
Really?
not always that useful.
Or as good as, if they're used.
Yeah,
Yeah, the guy that knows how, oh, it's upside down.
Yeah.
but I always wondered, did they live
Like
to
read
tell
the
the
map.
story if they didn't get electrocuted or
Right.
something, you know?
Yeah, he, like in this case, he punched through the conduit and broke the insulation. And I think that probably just caused some moist dirt to go down. I don't think they had, like an explosion that melted the end of the auger. I don't think it was good for the auger.
Probably not, pretty sure. Well, it's like,
They was probably lucky he was sitting in the Bobcat.
well, when they put it, they were working on the house next to us, they went down with a backhoe. And what do they strike? The gas line. And so
Yep, scary, that's scary.
I mean,
Yeah, we could.
they had
smell
all
it.
that gas going up in the air and everything else. They would have been better off to have thrown a match at it to burn
Right,
it off instead of having just the gas going up, because that gas can, being heavier than air.
yes,
can
it's
sink-
out on the
I
trend.
went in and threw my breaker off on the house, so I shut down all the electric on the house, lost the server as a result, but threw it, shut it down, because I didn't want to spark gas if it came into my
Yeah.
basement.
Yeah,
Well, the other thing is that like Canada, 10 or 15 years ago, something like this would have been a big, probably a question mark. Why do we need that?
yeah.
But as we add infrastructure and housing, does all get more complicated.
And that's what this argument in the presentation kind of have to go. It's gonna be a sell job, but, hopefully it won't be as hard as we think.
We can talk to Evan on the 13th when we do the presentation of Nancy's. He'll be here.
Okay.
Dave Hayden will be here
Good.
because he's gonna be her tech support.
Okay.
That's
So
next week.
Yeah, Wednesday,
Yeah, it's Wednesday.
we're gonna just, whatever, you saw my email.
yes.
So we're gonna need people here ahead of time, because of.
To set up
The setup,
chairs.
because all the chairs
You know what?
have to be
I-
swung 90 degrees.
Which screen do you guys like?
We're gonna use this one, because that way people can enter from the back of the
Yeah.
room.
Yeah,
And not
I can come
interrupt the
down and start
presentation.
arranging chairs before.
Okay.
We can come over like at 5:30.
There's nothing going on here that day.
Okay.
I was kind of like, it actually turned out to be a good thing that we weren't able to do it,
At Notre Dame.
because I think we're gonna have a fairly good crowd. For us, for our local.
and this is all set up for,
You
the screen.
Yep, exactly. So. Two things I have to share. One, History Alliance, we do have, Preston for the 17th of April doing his program on, Sullivan's campaign.
Oh,
Wow.
Why Sullivan's campaign, you're getting it, buddy.
Well, I just thought it was an
April
interesting.
17th, that's a definite date?
I just
Okay,
think that's rather
And I've asked
interesting.
Pam to book the retreat house. And then. Okay, so the other thing is directly connected to that. This is off of my historian's desk. I am. Designing the plaque. Remember I told you I have a budget for 2 plaques for Hun Cemetery, historic interpretation plaques. So I'm designing the first one that's in my 2024 historian's budget. We can put it on, like, more seriously on your next month's agenda. Karen, for the committee, for the cemetery committee,
Or,
placement. I have a suggestion. It still has been
this is
produced.
the academy?
No, Hun.
Huh,
So this is the plaque that will be for, the Sullivan campaign. And I would suggest that plaque probably be on the Woolhouse, or excuse me, why did I say that? the County Road 32 side of the cemetery. And then my 2025 budget will allow me to do another historic plaque, which will be about Zadok Hun. And that would be on the Wool House fence. They could be, I think they have to be inside the fence line, don't they, Dennis? Because isn't that fence because of the right of way and all that? It'll be nice to do them outside of the fence line. But
Put them on the, and dual.
yeah, so I think with that. And I'm just giving you guys a heads up, this is a calling for action. So the Sullivan campaign one will go into like physical production this spring. Hopefully I'll get it for the summer. And then cemetery committee can designate what they want to figure out the north, south, east, west placement of that plaque. And it's the kind that are at Miller that have 2 posts. You know, it'll be that durable vinyl, plastic, whatever the hell it is, that they print those on.
Similar to what we
Yeah.
do for the Butler Road School
Yes,
for that.
yes, very similar, yes, and we'll do the brown, you know, we'll make sure that this is in keeping with the other historic signage. So that's through my historian.
So we just drifted into the history team, did we?
Yeah. What's that? Yeah, you adjourned 10.
Okay, all right, thank you.
I'll write it down.
And he interspersed the History Alliance too by telling us about Preston. Have you been in touch with Christine Farren about a May program?
I have not, but
Okay.
Pam is nailing that down because Pam's meeting with her.
Oh,
They do it, well, you know, Pam's tied in, is deeply involved with the retreat house.
right. yeah.
So she's meeting with Christine as a retreat house person.
Oh, okay,
But she's gonna ask her for us when in May.
okay.
My last thing,
Because we were gonna do that at Ononda Park, looking to do that one at Ononda Park,
yes,
the Christine Farren.
yes. So,
Because I've got the minutes.
because I think it will be better if we move them around.
Yeah, I think so.
So, you know, maybe the retreat house is kind of our base, but if we do here. So we had talked about a June program for the Alliance in the cemetery.
Mhm. Right,
I think we should, I'd like to advise that the History Alliance kick that back to the cemetery for June. I think that's a cemetery committee thing more than it's a history of thing. I think the content is exactly the same.
What is
But
our program? Yeah,
Remember we were
it
talking
was
about,
with Peter Ellison and David Bloom, gravestone restoration and proper cleaning methods. And we were gonna,
remember we were talking in the other room.
Academy.
Yeah, that's kind of do.
We can, if you'd be willing to put that on April, I'm gonna request it for the April agenda for your committee.
All right,
And then it could be, and I just want to change the committee as
The
the,
group
yeah.
that's handling it. I
not the
wrote,
content or anything.
I wrote up the minutes from that meeting, from that February 20th meeting, but I only sent them to Leaf.
You know what I thought, Donna? The reason I thought that was this,
Thought what?
moving it from one to the
Oh,
other,
okay.
is that the cemetery committee has been doing such great work in the short time it's been in existence. And we need, Karen would probably, and you guys that are on the committee would probably all like to encourage more involvement from the community with the cemetery committee. And there may be people that want to do cemetery committee, but not History Alliance. Like I know people that are cemetery geeks, Mike Warner's one. Okay. So I think that would just be more beneficial and simpler if it was them. And I know
I
everybody
can
here has got
understand.
like 3 hats on. And it's like, oh, well, wait a minute. Is that the History Alliance, the
Yeah.
cemetery,
I
is it
know
the
that's.
history
what I
team?
kinda
Yeah.
like. Did we just switch?
But I want to see that, and I also want to see the History Alliance continue to do history content programs. Okay, that's my urging for this first year of it.
It's a public face of everything.
Well, that's, and
Yeah, so it's easy for them to understand where those groups are going.
by roping people in for programs, to watch programs, we can solicit them for membership and the other.
Right, and if we're having trouble going, wait a minute, is that the history team or was that? They're gonna really be confused. Cause I've already had people ask me, you know, outside of our group, but we're on the periphery, like, hey, where should I go? Is that the history team or the, I'm like, no, that's the Canadian History Alliance.
Yeah, I can understand.
So we need to define, we need to make sure we keep our, so people can understand what the hell we're
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah.
But I think we're at really good,
We're
track
certainly
with all of it. right? I mean, we've got
Idle.
interest.
Yeah.
That's for sure, Karen, yeah.
You know, some committees seem to stall out, but I don't think we're stalling out.
And we keep making
No.
it work for us.
I know.
Right, we're in the trouble of we need more people to fill the, some
Yeah.
committees to get more work done.
Yeah,
I think-
exactly.
Once we get an okay or focus on where we're gonna go, then we can solicit for more people. Especially if we make a
Yes,
pitch at some of our programs.
yes,
You know, get people involved, because a lot of people that come in kind of curious as to what's going on. Well, okay, well, now we're gonna hitch up to become an active member.
so how about, boy, you just spurred another thought, so how about if at the History Alliance, I identify Karen, if I identify you as the cemetery committee? And anybody that wants to volunteer to work in cemeteries
Yep.
should contact the cemetery committee. For History Team, I'll identify you guys, okay? Cause it gets confusing, cause the
Yeah, because you're
historian,
the
right?
historian, yeah.
But if I identify other people, then they can go to you guys and express their interest and well, how can I help?
Yep.
Okay,
Of course,
cause I
there's also
do,
Patty too, she's on the history team.
yes, and Dennis is on the cemetery committee, so I could,
Yeah, let's get some.
even though he's also on the history
Let's get
team.
Patty something to do this.
We still gotta do Butler Road,
I know, I
let's do Butler Road.
was there.
But the write-up is already
You were
done,
like the number one on my list, is Butler.
but the
So where are we
write-up,
at?
the write-up
You
is
can-
done and it's all, Lindsay has it.
Oh, does she? Because I was gone.
And I
So then
copied
you
you
did
with,
some,
You and Dennis can team up
Right.
and be the history team.
there you go.
You know, I did invite somebody to maybe help at cemeteries. He lives near you, Dave Pierce, Dave and Colleen Pierce.
oh, I welcomed them when they moved in. I know exactly where they live.
She's, oh,
Gosh, you know everybody.
well, he goes to our church and he's on Facebook and he's always going to the cemeteries. And he's related to the Pierces all over the place. And he came from Arundequoit, so. and he was-
Pierce is in Preston's family?
No.
Okay.
Oh, I don't think so, no.
The
Other
If he's
cheers.
interested in
Yeah,
secretaries,
yeah.
Karen, you gotta get him involved.
And then it was my husband's uncle's paperboy too.
So,
Wow, that was an interesting conversation to find that one.
He's just such a energetic guy and I suggested it. He said he was very disappointed when he went to the cemetery in Bristol Center.
They're just fighting so hard.
There was all this discourse and people weren't helpful and blah, 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 and I go, we're not like that.
Very nice.
They've got a tough, it's complicated.
Yeah, so I don't wanna know all that politics, or whatever's going on, but I'm trying to get him and he's local.
Yeah, and so invite him to come to Nancy's thing.
Well, that and Wolverton.
and you know, the interesting.
I know exactly who you're
frustrating
talking about,
thing-
by the way.
The frustrating thing is, here's the article that was in the Penny Saver. I don't know if anybody gets the Penny Saver.
I do.
It was in last Friday's and hopefully it'll be in this Friday's. But it's a center column at the very bottom and it's a big write-up. So it had good exposure if people read it.
So this guy she's
But-
talking about did all the enumeration of the graves in the Bristol Cemetery. He did a bunch of the physical work. And he was supposed to get all kinds of support from the Historical Society.
And he did.
He and I've talked a number of times,
Is that Dave?
and I tried to get him to join
Dave?
us.
Oh, that is Dave Hoops. Okay.
So Dave will, well, if you crack that door open, I think he's gonna dive in.
And you know what's frustrating, Karen, is I sent an email and then I followed it up with another email to our HOA secretary with with a longer write-up than that, more along Leaf's email about how it's entertaining and this and that. I sent it to him so he could send it out to our community, and he hasn't yet. And so on Sunday night, I sent him another reminder about it
Who's this?
for our HOA, because then Dave and Colleen Pierce would hear about it.
Yeah.
Because if, because it would be an email coming from the
Well,
HOA.
and I think it's kind of one-to-one, one-on-one, if you know somebody, I
Yeah.
think you'd be interested, let me tell you about this, but that's a slow way to get people.
It is,
Yeah, very
it is slow and
And that's why
slow
this
and painful.
presentation, like this one that's coming up in the NCA, it'll be good because hopefully we'll get a
Beautiful.
lot of people in here.
Yeah,
April
hopefully.
17th.
Thank you.
Oh,
And we got a lot of hits. John did report that there were the number of likes and hits on the Facebook.
Oh,
was-
really? Oh, good.
I think we could potentially have a real nice crowd, like
Oh, that would
upwards of 20 people for Nancy's. Whether if it's us or it's only 10 of us, we'll all enjoy it.
Yeah.
I can guarantee you it's a great program.
Oh.
Yeah, okay.
So will you talk to Dave and Colleen Pierce?
Yeah, sure.
Because I can,
Is she
And-
in production? Did she send it out?
She won't be there, I'm sure, she's
Yeah.
got a
Lindsay,
ruptured disc,
who Colleen?
yeah.
That's why
Oh,
I'm
okay.
here.
Trying to pull that
She says
together.
it's upstairs, so can I
She's
just
been
go
on
upstairs
commission
today?
with her
and
back.
Lindsay's
Oh.
Very painful.
off on
Okay.
vacation.
Okay.
I only know
Okay.
them.
Is that
for
what the
welcome
problem
them.
is?
I know, I said that,
Really
I was
know
annoyed that she's on
know
vacation.
them.
No,
Once I welcome people, I'm not
Because it-
necessarily
A long
I
time
don't
went
become
by, and
acquaintances with them or
I
anything
send
necessarily.
her pictures.
So
I
tell
send
them
her
about-
copy. Cause I,
What date
and
is it
I,
again?
If so,
I don't know what to
Wednesday
do
the
with it from
13th.
here,
Okay.
you know, but
You know
here's what I got.
Sweat it.
She
Let me
was
send you the
away and
email
then.
that I
the guy
forwarded to,
left
that I
here,
sent to a couple
And
of our
so she
neighbors.
apologized that she
Okay.
didn't contact me. I
And
figured
so that's, it's easy for
It's
you
not
to
on
put
the
it
top
together and if you
burner,
have their, do you
but-
have
I
their
think you
email?
got her what she
Do you
needed
have
when
Dave's
she needed it.
I
email?
think
Well,
I did.
I could
And
probably
that's
get it
the-
on
that's
that
the only thing-
direct.
I didn't know what
Because,
else
yeah,
to do.
I
like, am
haven't unless he's
supposed to
changed.
contact
Yeah.
this? But
If he-
I will double
Because
back with
when
her
I
next
welcome
week when she's
people, I
back
get
in.
either one or both of
Um,
their emails.
Yeah.
She hasn't said anything to me,
So,
which means
okay.
probably not.
Yeah,
I
didn't know
it
she
wouldn't hurt to
wanted
send
more
it,
information
I'll look
on
in our
there. I
directory
kept it
too.
kind of
Okay,
brief,
No, I
but
think you should.
you know, it's not.
Between you and me,
big.
I don't think,
You don't want it, cause then they.
no, you don't want
create
to
the
stand there and
QR
read forever.
Right, QR code and.
It's supposed to let you know.
Yeah,
So,
and I see they do have a new sign there in the front yard, pretty.
and they're gonna have, it's gonna be 2 projects that she's working on for us.
Yeah,
Cause she's also got the kiosk that are 2 groups. So I gotta double back with her.
Okay.
And I've gotta submit to her my design that I just told you about.
Right.
So I will let you know if there's more needed,
Okay.
all right? I don't think there is.
but I sent the write-up after I did some of the minor edits.
Yeah.
I sent it to you and to Lindsay on February 6th.
Okay. I'll
So,
look back.
I haven't
I know you
heard
said-
anything from Lindsay, so Lindsay's probably set. She and I have had conversations about other stuff, nothing to do with any of this.
Yeah,
Okay,
I would, quick note to you guys, so, I am hearing that town hall is working like a well-greased wheel.
good.
Yep. So, and I'm hearing that from all quarters.
Huh.
So if you have needs or anything like that,
I need glasses for next month.
Yes, we'll have to be sure.
don't be at all concerned about whether you're annoying or somebody's gonna get back to you. It is all very good, and the supervisor's secretary is set to start, I think it's either late this week or next week.
Oh, he's
Sue
gonna be the
Sorencio, who is the
Sue Sorencio?
wife of the
Oh, sheriff.
Ontario County Sheriff.
No.
Well, she was stopped DWI
Yeah.
and something.
And the supervisor's really excited to have her coming on
For the
board.
county.
So a lot of our needs, like with Jared,
Interesting.
Sue will be his gatekeeper. But that's a great gatekeeper to have and to help him stay on track, and So I think that's just my historian's take is we're in really good shape going into 2024 for all the projects.
So we won't be able to just walk into church all of a sudden.
Yeah, there'll be a gate.
No, you don't have to ask Jared about that. I don't, your President Lincoln used to have a big wheel of cheese and he sat in like the foyer, right, of the White House.
Oh.
This is a no kidding, yeah, gigantic wheel of cheese and a barrel of, I don't know if it was a barrel or a box of crackers. And he would throw open the doors, you gotta tell Jared this, he would throw open the doors like once a week. And any Joe Schmo could walk into the White House and request an audience with the president and often get it. So if Jared closes that door, man, I'm gonna put a big wheel of cheese.
Yeah, now compare that time period to this time period.
Yeah, right? A lot of slippage in hundred and
You
sixty
can't even
years.
get on the grounds without getting arrested.
Well, we'll have to introduce ourselves because I met Dave at the
Jenna,
dinner and told him about our nephew who works at 911, and it's like, oh yeah. And then the next thing I know, I'm getting a text from my nephew and saying, oh, are you the nice lady that my boss talked to? So it's like, yeah,
Dave Pierce?
no, Dave Sorencio.
you know what's nice is
Dave-
it still
Dave-
feels like a small town, doesn't it?
It is.
Dave-
The sheriff's wife is working in the town hall, it's like, it's still a small town.
Wow.
Where's Opie?
Wow, that's interesting.
You said Alaska,
Yeah, is he now?
'Cause my kid looks, he was very OPS,
So Dennis, are you going
Is it
to
Alaska?
get in touch with
a little bit longer.
Peter as far as the three of us getting together or is?
I think he was gonna send out.
Yeah, I'll send out an email to the two of you and Peter and outline what the committee would like.
Pick a nice day like today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because last time we went out, it was raining. That wasn't fun.
Yeah. I got
So
some-
Patty, do you want me to resend you that article?
Yeah. Because the only one that got is like, I think the original one that I sent you to look at.
Are you hooked up to the internet yet, Patty?
That is a sore subject,
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't say anything.
but I'm working on it.
Okay.
Are you,
I gotta move one more time to get that
do you want me to send it to you by email or do you want me?
email
to-
instead.
Okay,
You've got
all
my
right.
Email address, that would be nice.
Okay.
And, but I know the pictures that I sent her were the digital ones that Sarah Linda Hooker sent me, but they were the same ones I had anyway. There's a
Oh.
couple added, but I didn't think were appropriate for her. But
And Dennis,
I think she
if you could
saw some
forward
of that,
those
so
pictures you shot at them.
Maybe they don't have to.
If you could, if you could forward those pictures you shot at them to me. That'd be.
I think I still have my computer up.
Okay, but you do, okay.
Do I?
Do you need to
Yeah, I
spend?
must have your.
No,
email
no,
right
you can
under
hang
the
on to
thumb.
that.
So,
Yeah,
is it?
Aren't you
You might have to send me a reminder. I'm looking for a
Credits group?
All right, we're adjourning everything, right?
Oh, yeah, are you,
we done?
Are we done with